Hello and welcome to PMCLounge.com. In this video, we will be covering the uncertainty performance domain. There are a total of 8 performance domains. We have covered all of them. Check out the second link in the description if you want to go over a playlist of all the performance domains. And it's the second link because the first link is going to take you to an article on this topic over at our official website, PMCLounge.com. So definitely, if you're into reading articles, check out the first link. If you're into watching videos, check out the second link. Okay, so let's take a look at the agenda. We are going to cover this topic in detail. We'll start off with some introduction. What are the outcomes of uncertainty? Some key definitions that you should know about when it comes to uncertainty. The meat and potatoes, the actual stuff that you need to know about uncertainty. Then how does it interact with other performance domain, checking results, and some key takeaways. All right, so let's start things off with the introduction to this performance domain. Now, every project operates in an environment of uncertainty. This is a very important point, and I keep saying that project management is a lot about change management because you are introducing a change, you are bringing about a change in your current environment, and you have to bring that systematically. How do you bring it in a controlled manner? That's what project management is all about. So when you're bringing about a change, things can go wrong, right? And this is why projects operate in an environment of uncertainty. If we take our e-commerce website example that we have been taking throughout the course of all the performance domains that we have covered so far. So if you're building an e-commerce website, or you could be constructing a skyscraper, there's always something that you don't fully know at the beginning of the project. So if you're talking about e-commerce website, you might not know the user preferences, you might not know the market behavior, you might not know the technology constraints that you might face when you are coming up or building your e-commerce website, right? So you may have some idea, but it is possible that you don't fully know these topics that we just talked about when it comes to e-commerce website project, for example. So that is why it is true that every project operates in an environment of uncertainty. Now, uncertainty includes risk, it includes ambiguity, complexity, and volatility. These are 4 different aspects of the unknown. Because projects operate in the environment of uncertainty, you have a lot of unknowns. So these are the 4 different aspects of unknowns, from unpredictable risks to unclear situations or fast changing environments. Understanding uncertainty helps teams prepare and adapt effectively. So when a project team recognizes what they don't know, they can proactively plan responses and build flexibility into their processes instead of reacting later and panicking later. So project teams need to understand that there are uncertainties in the project, and based on that they should realize that there are things that they don't know, and accordingly they should plan for buffers, for flexibility as needed. Now, desired outcomes of uncertainty: awareness of the project's environment and influencing factors. This is going to ensure that the team understands the economic, political, and technical realities that might affect the project during the course of you building or working on the project. For our e-commerce website, this could mean being aware of new payment gateway regulations that the government just introduced, or let's say upcoming festival season surges where you are going to see higher than usual traffic. So how is your website going to handle that? So stuff like this. The ability to anticipate threats and opportunities helps the team stay one step ahead. For example, if a competitor launches a similar website earlier than you do, that is definitely a threat. But if your team identifies that there is a new marketing trend while you are working on the project itself, and your team sort of identifies this before others, that's definitely an opportunity. Effective use of reserves to stay aligned with the objective. This means using time and budget buffers wisely. All projects will have some sort of buffers and you should use them wisely. That's what this whole point is about. So if there is a sudden delay which might occur due to a vendor issue, the project manager can use schedule reserves to stay on track. And schedule reserve is basically buffer time. You had, let's say, 2-day buffer based on certain risk that you had foreseen, right? So that is something that can be used here. Delivery with minimal negative impact from unforeseen events. This shows true project resilience. So even when challenges arise, the project still achieves its goals without chaos or crisis. So this is delivery with minimal negative impact from unforeseen events. This is every project manager's dream, to be honest. So these are the desired outcomes of uncertainty. When you understand uncertainty and you act on it, these are the desired outcomes that are expected. Now, let's talk about some key definitions. Now, uncertainty, this is simply not knowing what might happen. For example, not knowing whether users will prefer card or will prefer some online wallet or will prefer pay on delivery. Nobody knows, right? So this is an example from your e-commerce website. This is uncertainty. Then there's ambiguity, which means unclear situations. Like when the marketing team says launch soon, what is soon? Nobody defined what soon really is. Complexity comes into play when multiple systems, vendors, or integrations interact in unpredictable ways. So this is complexity, right? It arises from interconnected factors that can affect outcomes. So as an example, if there's some change in the payment gateway API, it might affect the entire checkout process. So that's complexity right there. Change in one system leading to changes or disruption across the board. Volatility refers to rapid, unpredictable change. So this is when things change too quickly, like frequent updates in compliance requirements or sudden traffic spikes during a sale or during festive season. Risk is an uncertain event that can positively or negatively impact objectives. Remember, risk is not just negative, it can positively or negatively impact the objectives of your project. We have an entire playlist on risk management. I will share a link to that in the description below. Definitely go over it if you want to learn more about risk management, or if you're preparing for your PMP exam, that is something that you should know in and out of. So risk is when uncertainty could impact project objectives. And as I said, it could be positive or negative. Now, let's talk about understanding project uncertainty. Projects exist in dynamic environments with unknown factors. So even if you have a very well planned e-commerce project, it is going to face uncertainty. It is going to face uncertainty from changing user needs to sudden server issues and whatnot. Uncertainty can arise from various sources like new technologies, shifts in market demand, legal changes, or even differing team interpretations. So that is the reason why uncertainty can arise from all of these. Now, as an example, a new data privacy law that the government just introduced, it might suddenly change how you store your customer data. Teams must identify and analyze uncertainty early. This is very important. That is the reason why you as a project manager need to know so much about uncertainty, need to know so much about risk management. Recognizing potential unknowns helps the team plan contingencies and make flexible decisions as well. As a project manager, one of the things that you must do is speak to your team about risks. Speak to your team about what could actually go wrong. Speak to your team about any potential opportunities that they think might be useful if implemented on the project. So speak to your team about risks, speak to your team about ambiguity, about uncertainty, because a lot of project managers out there, they don't even deal with risks. They don't even speak about it, right? So you have to bring this up in your team meetings, on your one-on-ones with the project team, and that is how you are going to uncover all the risks, all the uncertainty, ambiguity, and whatnot. Okay, so let's talk about managing general uncertainty. How do you manage general uncertainty on your project? Gather information to reduce the unknown. Conduct research, consult experts, or analyze user data to fill any knowledge gaps. For example, test user flows before committing to a design. So if somebody comes up to you and says that, this is a better way of checkout, you should go over the entire flow that the user will have to go over. And this is going to reduce general uncertainty. Prepare for multiple outcomes. This is possible only if you have contingency plans. So if one supplier fails to deliver, let's say, hosting services, another option should be ready with you. Use set based design to explore options. For example, try both an in-house and a third-party search engine to search and see which performs better on your website before you finalize which search engine we are going to use on the website. Build resilience in teams and processes so that they can adapt quickly. You should always encourage flexibility in planning and decision making, ensuring the team can pivot when something unexpected happens. This is very important, specifically in IT projects where teams are going much more agile. So you have to be resilient, but at the same time, you have to encourage flexibility. Okay, with that, I would like to remind you about our PM 101 1.5 hours training session. This is absolutely free. Check out the link in the description. Thousands of our community members have made use of this video to initiate and start their project management careers. So definitely check this out. It is an absolute legend. All right, moving on. Let's cover the remaining topics. We have already talked about the top 5 topics that you see here, and we'll start things off with handling ambiguity. So how do you actually handle ambiguity? First thing first, clarify unclear terms and assumptions. This happens a lot when you are new on a project or new in certain organization, right? And you see team members using certain terms, certain things that you might assume because you are new, and you might have some preconceived notions and something from the industry which may or may not be applicable to this new project or this new organization, right? So the first thing to handle ambiguity is to clarify anything which is unclear, be it terms, be it assumptions. In fact, in our e-commerce website project, you should ensure everyone agrees on what go live ready means. Does it include that SEO testing should also be done? Does it include mobile optimization should also be done? Or does go live ready simply means that the website is ready to be run on desktop and PCs only? Now, use progressive elaboration to refine plans. We have done a full video on what progressive elaboration is. This is part of Agile, and I'll share a playlist of Agile in the description below. I'll also try to share the link to this specific concept, progressive elaboration, in the description. So definitely check it out. What it basically means is you start with a high level scope, and then you continuously add detail as more and more information becomes available. So start at the top and then keep adding more and more details. That's what progressive elaboration is all about. Experiment and test ideas early. So there could be A/B testing, which is, checkout layouts or maybe homepage designs, where you basically create two different options. So you create two different homepages and you do a survey. You ask your team members, you may ask external folks to just go over both the home pages, and this is A/B testing, right? So they go over both the home pages, or they go over just one of the page, and based on how much time they spend on that page, based on how interactive that page feels, right, based on the user nature, right, you will be able to make out whether to go with option A or option B. So that's A/B testing for you. Okay, build prototypes to visualize outcomes. All of this is part of handling ambiguity, right? So we are handling ambiguity here. So if you create a clickable wireframe of the website, it can quickly reveal what's unclear or what's misunderstood before you invest in the full website development. So clickable wireframes is basically a prototype of the website itself. Okay, managing complexity. Now decouple complex systems to reduce dependencies. In an e-commerce setup, separating inventory management from the payment system ensures that payment issue does not block your stock updates. So if you have multiple systems, like we just talked about two systems, payment system and your inventory management. If you have multiple systems, make sure that they are decoupled. One should not block the other. Simulate scenarios to understand system behavior. Before you launch your website, you should run load tests as an example to see how the website performs during the festive season or during a big sale, right? So this is something that you can do to simulate this scenario. Use diverse perspectives to reframe problems. So getting input from developers, marketers, and customers can uncover better solutions and prevent a tunnel vision. A lot of project managers suffer from this disease called tunnel vision because they think this is how the project should go and they just want to follow this path, right? It is always better to get input from different team members, your developers, your marketers, even the actual customers, so that you can see that there is a possibility of uncovering better solutions and avoiding this disease of tunnel vision. Build iteratively and engage stakeholders frequently. So if you do small feature releases over and over again, instead of launching at the end of year, taking 12 months to launch a website and launching it towards the end, it's a full-fledged release. Instead of doing that, you should consider doing recurring or iterative releases, right? This is going to ensure that you get more feedback. So if you release small features like, let's say, wishlist or guest checkout in stages, it helps gather feedback and it also helps you adjust before scaling your website. So that is how you manage complexity. So the last point is all about agile, to be honest. So if you want to know more about agile, definitely check that playlist out. But if you see this again, build iteratively and engage stakeholders frequently. This is all about agile, right? So you should see how your project can be delivered in an agile way. Okay, let's talk about addressing volatility. Now, expect rapid and unpredictable change. If you expect this, you are accepting volatility, like a sudden surge in traffic on the website due to some influencer marketing, or maybe the team posted some reel on Instagram and it just went viral, and that is why a lot of traffic started coming in on the website, right? So you should always expect rapid and unpredictable changes. Your team must remain adaptable. That is what the first point of addressing volatility is all about. Use alternatives analysis to evaluate options. So if hosting costs rise unexpectedly, explore cloud providers or hybrid solutions to balance performance and cost. We are talking about website hosting here in case you were not able to pick that up. Apply cost and schedule reserves wisely. Once again, you should maintain buffers to handle volatile conditions such as, third-party API downtime or, last minute scope changes and whatnot. So always make sure that these cost and schedule reserves are used wisely. Okay, managing risks. Risks can be threats or opportunities. A delay in vendor delivery is definitely a threat, but if you discover that there is a new plugin that enhances site performance, that is an opportunity. Now, let's talk about identifying assessing and prioritizing risks regularly. This is something that you as a project manager must do at all times, perhaps bi-weekly. Keep a live risk register to track all potential events and what their possible impacts could be. This is something, as I mentioned, an exercise that you as a project manager must always do. Apply suitable response strategies. So you have risks, and then there are risk response strategies. So you have avoiding, mitigating, transferring, even accepting threats, enhancing or exploiting opportunities, right? All of these are different response strategies. And if you go over the risk management knowledge area playlist that is linked in the description, you will find details about all these response strategies. Review and update risk responses throughout the project. Regular reviews ensure the project remains aligned with the changing realities of the world. Interactions with other performance domains. All the performance domains that we have discussed so far, right? They all interact with each other. They don't work in silos. So you have the planning performance domain, which identifies and prepares for uncertainty. The better your plan, the lesser the uncertainty, right? So planning identifies and prepares for uncertainty through forecasting, through setting reserves, and scenario planning maybe. Delivery and measurement domains, so these are the two other domains, reveal evolving risks. As actual performance data becomes available, you will be able to sort of see how delivery and measurement stack up when it comes to uncertainty. Team and stakeholder input supports proactive responses. If you have engaged discussions with your team, they are going to help. These discussions are going to help detect early warning signs, and you can also capitalize on opportunities. So definitely discuss with your teams about risks, about uncertainty, about volatility, right? Make it a part of your team meeting agenda. Okay, with that, I would like to remind you about our playlist section. Head over to youtube.com/PMC Lounge/playlist. If you are preparing for the PMP exam, this is an absolute goldmine. Everything is absolutely free. Everything that you need to know to pass your PMP exam is already available here. So definitely check it out. Okay, so we are now down to the last two agenda items: checking results and some key takeaways of this performance domain. So teams monitor external and internal factors like the market trends, the legal updates or regulatory updates, or even internal performance metrics of your website, right? So this is something that teams monitor at all times to stay ahead. This is a result of doing the stuff that uncertainty domain asks you to do. Risk and uncertainty management remains a continuous exercise. This is not a one and done kind of deal, right? It is not a one time exercise. It evolves as your project progresses. And that is the reason why I said keep an agenda item in your team meeting about risk, about uncertainty, about the stuff that we just talked about. Reserves are used effectively to maintain alignment with objectives. Minimal disruption is ensured even when uncertainties arise. So always use your reserves wisely, something that we have talked about. But these are the results of uncertainty. These are the results if uncertainty is executed successfully on your project. You've followed everything about uncertainty, then these are the expected results. Or this is also a way to check results. So if reserves are not used effectively, that means the team was not able to manage uncertainty successfully. Okay, let's talk about some of the key takeaways. Uncertainty is unavoidable, but definitely manageable. The goal is not to eliminate it, but to understand and prepare for it. Awareness and preparation reduces the impact of uncertainty by helping teams foresee and address potential challenges early on. Resilience and adaptability are key project strengths that help teams bounce back from unexpected issues, and that too quickly. So resilience and adaptability, they are the key project strengths. Finally, effective uncertainty management leads to confident decision making, keeping the project aligned with business objectives even in changing conditions. So, those are the key takeaways from the uncertainty performance domain. I hope you were able to understand the uncertainty performance domain. I would like to pitch in our VIP Pass YouTube membership program. You get access to premium project management courses, there are collaboration opportunities, and there's, of course, virtual consultation that is available. So definitely a lot of bang for your buck. So hit the join button and join us to get access to the premium content from PMC Lounge. So that's all that we had in this one. Consider subscribing if you like and enjoy our work and want to know more about project management. Definitely keep learning, check our other videos out, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye bye.